Well, it's not quite normal, but it's the closest Victoria will get to it for the foreseeable future. Mandatory mask rules and the removal of people limits at venues, weddings, funerals and religious gatherings were among the big changes announced by the Premier today. Reid Butler explains.
We've always had faith this day would come.
It's a testament to all the efforts of so many people. We can be sufficiently open to welcome good numbers.
The character that has been shown across this state is inspiring.
From tomorrow, there'll be no caps on guests at religious gatherings, weddings and funerals. A 1 person per 2 square metre rule applies though, and while still a step forward, that restriction poses a problem for smaller chapels.
A lot of families are disappointed, thinking they can have an endless number of people now with them, but that actually isn't the case because of the square meterage.
Instead of waiting until the middle of the month for that extended family get-together, from tomorrow up to 100 people will be able to gather outdoors and 30 people can visit your home.
That's not 30 for lunch and 30 for dinner. That's 30 across the day.
Mask rules have been significantly relaxed. They won't be mandatory in most settings, including offices, but you must carry one for when you do need to wear it, like at the supermarket or on public transport. The hospitality sector has plenty to celebrate too. Standing service will be allowed from tomorrow. And there's no cap on patrons, with density limits shifting to 1 person per 2 square metres. For smaller venues, there'll be no spacing requirements. Nightclubs, too, will be able to reopen from midnight.
It's been 8 months since March when we had the first lockdown, and we're really excited to be back up and running soon.
Dance floors will be empty no more, and that's at clubs and weddings. 1 person per 4 square metres will be able to have a boogie on the dance floor with a maximum of 50 people. Here at the Club Emerson in South Yarra, the floor space is around 40 square metres, so that means 10 people will be able to have a dance at any one time.
There will also be enforcement. There will be enforcement from WorkSafe, from local government, and from our hundreds of authorised officers out there.
For indoor sports, there'll be a 1 person per 4 square metre rule. Gyms and exercise classes will be limited to 50 people. Outdoor sport is capped at 100 people. Indoor non-seated entertainment can run at 50% capacity, capped at 1,000 people. Outdoor non-seated entertainment has a 1 person per 2 square metre rule. Seated entertainment venues, both indoor and outdoor, can have up to 75% fixed seat capacity with a maximum of 1,000 people, but still no clarity on big outdoor sporting events.
We're into summertime. In Victoria, that means Boxing Day Test. That means the T20s. It means the Australian Open. We have no idea how those events are going to be able to operate.
There'll be no caps on community venues like libraries and pools, and as 2021 gets underway, more office workers will be able to return. From January 11, 50% of the private workforce can go back to the office, 25% of public service workers can return.
We have kept the public service at home so as to favour the private sector, to give them more room to get back to that COVID-safe summer.
And Reid Butler is in Richmond tonight. Reid, pubs are among the big winners here, but there is a catch.
Yes, Alicia, that much-needed 1 person per 2 square metre rule, which in some cases will allow venues to more than double their capacity tomorrow, is only legal if those venues have a mandatory electronic check-in system, like a QR code check-in system like this one. Those venues still using pen and paper to check patrons in will need to upgrade or be forced to operate at 1 person per 4 square metres, so that is an incentive to upgrade that technology. Here at the Prince Alfred Hotel in Richmond, from tomorrow they'll finally be able to operate pretty much at full capacity, which is excellent news. And I'm told that one of the other big welcome changes from today's announcement is the relaxing of the no standing rule. That's great news for staff who don't need to keep telling patrons to sit down, and great news for patrons who enjoy standing up at the bar, having a beer and a bit of a chinwag. Thank you. Cheers, Alicia.
Certainly is. Enjoy. All right, Reid, thank you. Well, from office workers to bar staff, Victorians are just hours away from a mask reprieve, with the rules mandating our faces must be covered significantly relaxing from midnight. Stephanie Anderson explains.
After months of masking up, Melbourne is a big step closer to once again showing its face.
It's about time. We haven't got any cases for the last more than 30 days.
It's great to actually see people smiling now.
From midnight tonight, the rules will roll back, meaning a mask is mandatory only when you're on public transport, in an Uber or taxi, at an indoor shopping centre or market, supermarket or department store.
For instance, Kmart or Myer, IKEA, Bunnings, JB Hi-Fi. If there is a case, if there is an outbreak, that will simply make the job of contact tracing easier.
For office workers across the state, it's a cautious green light to go without any covering.
It's still highly recommended, but you're not required to.
As I work in an office, I thought, fantastic, we don't have to wear masks in the office.
The option to be mask-free will also apply to those dining or working in restaurants, cafes and pubs, as well as customers getting pampered in beauty and hair salons. But the Premier wants those delivering the services to keep up the status quo.
We would anticipate that staff would continue to wear those face masks. That just makes common sense.
For the final weeks of the academic year, masks aren't mandatory but are strongly advised in our schools, and at the airport they'll still be required inside. The recommendation across the board: cover up if you can't stay apart.
These are all insurance policies for what might happen should a case enter Victoria.
While you no longer have to wear it everywhere, you do have to carry one. The Premier and health officials still urging Victorians to keep a face mask on them at all times in case a situation crops up where you can't social distance.
Everyone must carry a mask, unless you've got a medical exemption. Everyone must carry a mask for those occasions.
And many seem willing to hold on to the accessory that sums up 2020 if it means we can face the world without it faster.
If we don't have any cases like we are for the next 3 or 4 weeks, then I'm sure we're getting to the point where we start removing them altogether.
Stephanie Anderson, 9 News.